I was a fool because I didn't pay attention to the red flags for a long time, and if I had been more careful, I would have revealed my wife's secret affair earlier. My wife cheated on me, and she had a perfectly constructed legend that she adhered to. But everything secret becomes clear, and I decided to take revenge. I'm Michael Mick Wallman, a married man in my mid-40s. My lovely wife Marianne is 2 years my junior. Our daughter Julia is 16, and our son Melvin is 14. At the outset of this tale, we were still your typical middle-class Scandinavian suburban family, with decent jobs and a comfortable home. Life seemed relatively uneventful until everything went awry. It was a brisk Thursday in November. Struck down by the flu, I opted to stay in bed for the day. Marianne, whose workday began a half-hour later than mine, felt fine and headed to the bathroom for a shower. I was taken aback when she carried her clothes with her for changing in the bathroom. My surprise heightened when I heard the click of the door lock. Intrigued, I fetched the safety tool from the kitchen drawer, designed for unlocking doors from the outside when children accidentally locked them from within and couldn't figure out how to open them. After waiting a few minutes upon hearing that she had turned off the shower, I opened the door. The scene in the bathroom was stunning. Marianne was wearing brand new, incredibly beautiful black lace lingerie and high stockings that I had never seen before. I couldn't help but ask her, why the new seductive outfit? Why the secrecy while getting dressed? Do you have a boyfriend? She paused for a moment, a worried look crossing her face before responding. Don't be ridiculous. You know that Lena and I are heading to the mall for our monthly shopping after work today. It might take a while. Feeling ill at ease, I retorted sharply, this eye-catching outfit is for shopping? Wouldn't it be more fitting for someone trading without clothes? Her anger flared up and she exclaimed, Are you calling me a prostitute? I'm not accusing you of anything, just observing that today, for some unknown reason, you're dressed like one, I replied. She continued to yell, How would you even know how prostitutes dress? Ronnie Skoog boasted about his encounters at the pub, I said. As she exited the house, the door slammed shut forcefully, signaling to me that my marriage was on a downward trajectory. Ronnie Skoog, her ex-boyfriend, had been successful as a union boss. In fits of anger, Marianne had occasionally expressed regret over leaving him for me after he betrayed her. However, once Ronnie was fired and divorced for misusing his union credit card at upscale continental brothels during international union meetings, any mention of him became unwelcome to her. Still, I noticed a peculiar look on her face when she momentarily froze, confirming that my question had struck a nerve. Determined to uncover more, I initiated my investigation at our home office, where Marianne meticulously organized and managed our bills in ring binders. It took some time, but I eventually pieced together several clues indicating that something was amiss. There were no surprises in our joint Visa account. However, upon scrutinizing the statements from her personal account, I noticed some peculiarities. Despite Marianne and Lena typically shopping for clothes together once a month, consistently on a Thursday around the middle of the month, none of her purchases were made on those Thursdays. Instead, they were always made a day or several days prior to the usual shopping Thursday. Things took a turn when I discovered she had purchased gas at the Q8 gas station, located about 25 kilometers away from our town, on one of her shopping days. Why on earth would a trip to the mall lead her so far from town? There wasn't even a small grocery store or a cafe for truck drivers at that gas station. The only plausible explanation left was that she had visited one of the small cabins the gas station rented out to tourists, salespeople, or those up to no good, likely due to the significantly lower price compared to a hotel room in town. I had suspicions about Marianne's monthly shopping trips, but lacked concrete evidence of her infidelity. A mere gas bill wasn't sufficient grounds for a divorce, at least not yet. I figured it would be wiser to wait until after the Christmas and New Year holidays to confront her and gather more information about her activities. Nevertheless, I decided to make today's shopping excursion a bit more interesting. Knowing that the alcohol store at the mall closed at 6 o'clock, I called Marianne's cell phone around 20 minutes past 5. After a few rings, she answered, sounding concerned. Is something wrong? Yes, actually, are you at the mall? I inquired. Of course I am. Why do you ask? She responded. Because I need a favor from there. Where are you right now? I'm at H&M. Why do you need to know? She asked, sounding slightly less anxious. Because I need a bottle of brandy for my flu. The alcohol store is right by H&M. Could you please grab one for me before they close at 6? With that, I ended the call. Marianne faced a dilemma when asked for the brandy. If she was engaged in intimate activities with her lover at a Q8 cabin, she could either sacrifice time with him to purchase the brandy from the nearest alcohol shop, losing over an hour of their precious time together, or she could forego the brandy and risk a confrontation with me. She chose the latter, clearly prioritizing being with her lover, wherever they were and whatever they were doing, over rushing off to buy my brandy. Upon returning home without it, she simply apologized, citing a long wait at H&M, resulting in the alcohol store being closed by the time she arrived. I don't buy it. What kept you so long at H&M? Can I see the receipt? Now she realized she was ensnared by a falsehood and retorted loudly, I bought my clothes with my own money. Why on earth should I show you a receipt if I even had one? Because the receipt indicates when you purchased your clothes, and you're well aware that you need it for returning faulty items. You deceitful liar just didn't want to do me that small favor after our argument this morning. Seeing my last remark as an opportunity to evade the issue, she responded, It's foolish of you to expect any favors from me after accusing me of being promiscuous just because of what I wore this morning. I flashed her a cheerful grin and inquired, Did your lover compliment how stunning you looked in that new black lace outfit? If you were indeed involved with some gigolo, just remember that in this marriage, infidelity equals divorce. That remark sparked the fiercest swearing I've ever heard from her. I couldn't help but be impressed by Marianne's acting skills as she feigned offense. Even her proficiency in cursing left a lasting impression on me. An icy atmosphere lingered in our home that evening. While it was evident that Marianne had done something behind my back, it remained for me to uncover what, where, and with whom. Her cell phone could potentially provide crucial information. Since we had identical phones and charged them in the kitchen, I seized the opportunity during the night to swap our phones. The following morning, Marianne rushed off to work without protest, leaving me in bed. Once she was gone, I decided to snoop through her phone. There was just one brief message. A picture coming soon. Waiting for your comments. The sender was unknown to me as Marianne's contacts consisted only of her closest friends. Searching the phone number online yielded no results. Evidently, it was from a prepaid phone. However, my luck turned when the phone received a notification. It was a picture taken the day before featuring Marianne in her alluring black underwear, sent by the same unknown sender. The accompanying message read simply, Darlin', you are great. Even without a sender's name, I was certain of the source. The unmistakable high caliber of both artistry and technical skill in the image provided the clue. There was only one person I knew capable of producing photographs of such professional caliber. That obnoxious individual could only be Oliver Erickson, the husband of Rebecca Erickson, one of Marianne's closest childhood friends. Oliver was renowned for his photography prowess and had once drunkenly boasted at a pub about a similarly impressive picture of a female colleague. I'd never been fond of him due to his incessant bragging, believing himself superior in every endeavor. I was sure he didn't have any feelings for me either, and it was easy to imagine how much he must have mocked me behind my back every time he met Marianne, who was much more attractive than his own wife. One question remained. How could Marianne be intimate with such an arrogant jerk? There was only a month and a half left before Christmas and New Year, and I decided not to conflict during the holidays and keep my head down until then. No quarrels with Oliver although that didn't mean he wouldn't face the consequences. Once again, my day was filled with activity. First, I uploaded a photo of Marianne to my laptop and couldn't help but admire her. She looked surprisingly young and seductive. That despicable Oliver really succeeded in his camera work. What further inflamed my anger was Marianne's pleased expression, indicating that the picture must have been taken after their close encounter. My next task proved to be more challenging. It took several phone calls before everything was arranged for Oliver's punishment on Monday. Being a native of my hometown, I knew a diverse array of people who could help me accomplish what I wanted, and I was certain that it would justify the rather steep price. As anticipated, Marianne was displeased when she returned home from work with my cell phone, and only grew more frustrated when I accused her of taking it. I had deleted the picture from her phone, which likely confused both her and Oliver when he inquired about it. However, I remained silent, hoping they would assume something had gone wrong when he tried to send it. The first part of my revenge unfolded the following Monday when Rebecca and Oliver were at work and their children were at school. A tractor with a wagon, filled with approximately 3 tons of animal dung from a farm, dumped its load on Erickson's lawn in front of the house. With the temperature above zero, a noxious odor soon enveloped the neighborhood. A prominent sign amidst the dung proclaimed, "Manure for sale," much to the chagrin of their neighbors. I can envision how an enraged Oliver likely phoned the police, and how his call undoubtedly escalated into an argument when the police didn't view his heap of free dung as a serious offense warranting immediate action. During Wednesday's breakfast, while perusing our local morning paper, I came across a large photograph of Oliver standing beside the "Manure for Sale" sign by his dung. As anticipated, he was griping about the police, who had merely asked him to fill out a form detailing his issues and promised to address them as soon as possible in the future. I burst into laughter, prompting Marianne to inquire, "What's so amusing?" An idiot in the business of dung trading. Now one can truly say, right man in the right place. Marianne grabbed the paper and I continued laughing. However, for some reason, she didn't share my amusement at what she saw. Instead, her face turned red and she yelled at me, "You must be insane to find that funny." I maintained a smile as I responded, "Have you completely lost your sense of humor? The combination of dung and a damn asshole is actually quite amusing. Rebecca is one of my closest friends. How can you despicable person, laugh at her serious issues?" In a raised voice, I retorted, "Is it my fault that poor Rebecca ended up marrying that foolish, worthless jerk, Oliver Erickson? Is it? She probably envies you for being married to a real man." I sensed that Marianne didn't agree with me as she left the table without a word, leaving me with the feeling that her affection for me was waning, if it existed at all. Shortly after, Marianne fell ill with the flu, putting any thoughts of intimacy on hold for the next 2 weeks. During that time, I searched her car for any evidence of an affair with Oliver, but found nothing. Eventually, I resorted to purchasing a new voice-activated mini recorder and hiding it in her car. When Marianne recovered, neither of us made a move towards intimacy. In fact, there had been no intimacy between us since the weekend before her infamous November shopping, and now she was preparing for her December shopping expedition with Lena. Although I had accused her of engaging in promiscuous behavior during her November shopping trip and had hoped she would be wise enough to cancel her December rendezvous with Oliver, he evidently held significant importance to her, prompting her to take the risk. As anticipated, we had an argument in the morning when I mentioned that I had a dentist appointment and would be leaving home later than usual. Marianne accused me of spying on her to see which underwear she would choose for her shopping day. She became furious when I acknowledged that it was preferable to see her dressed less provocatively for her peculiar shopping excursion, or whatever she had planned for the evening. In the afternoon, I phoned Marianne 10 minutes before she finished work for the day. I informed her that I wouldn't be home that evening, but reassured her that her mother had promised to come over to fix some food for our kids. As expected, she exclaimed, "What's so important that you can't be home tonight?" "A very special mission, my dear, of utmost importance. My friends have heard rumors that your friend, the dung trader Oliver Erickson, is planning to meet one of his mistresses at a Q8 cabin. We intend to observe both Oliver and the cabin. I'm certain Rebecca will be pleased to be rid of him when we catch him in the act and gather evidence of his infidelity." As anticipated, Marianne expressed her displeasure with my assignment. She exclaimed, "Oliver, my friend, he's practically family. You must be out of your mind to even consider humiliating one of our friends in such a ridiculous manner. You're speaking for yourself. That jerk has never been a friend to me. You've always detested cheaters before. Why the sudden change of heart about that awful creep?" Her response dripped with anger as she retorted, "I'll always despise cheaters, never doubt that. But I know how deeply our friends Rebecca and Oliver care for each other, which is why I choose to believe them over the rumors spread by your so-called friends." What a deceitful woman. I didn't give a damn about Oliver that evening. I was still consumed by my vendetta, but Marianne must have been frightened by my call and canceled her date with Oliver for that night, hopefully for the entire month of December. However, it intrigued me to see how she would react now that Oliver was off the table for the evening. The idea of keeping an eye on Oliver caused Marianne to lose all interest in the important monthly shopping trip with Lena, as I followed her car straight home from work. I parked my car a distance away from my house, approached Marianne's car in the driveway, and unlocked it using the spare key attached to my own car key. I retrieved the small recorder. I then went to a parking lot and listened to the recordings. The first recording seemed to be Marianne giving a co-worker a ride home and contained nothing of interest. However, the subsequent recordings were much more intriguing to me. She immediately called Oliver, presumably right after she got into her car, a few minutes after my call. Marianne sounded deeply concerned. "Hi, darling. We have to cancel our plans today because some of Mike's friends have found out about you renting the Q8 cabin, and they're curious about who you're dating there. They're keeping an eye on both you and the cabin as we speak. Yes, even Mick is involved in keeping watch. He called me and said he'd be home late. Yes, Mick accused me of being unfaithful during our last date. But he'll never suspect it's with you. There's no way he'd ever think you're having an affair with me. Perhaps some woman from your workplace would fit much better into his suspicions. No, Oliver, we can't do that. Absolutely not." Refusing to fix Nick's damn brandy was a huge mistake that tipped him off that I was lying about shopping. Now he's suspicious and searching for evidence. I can't afford to raise any more suspicion. I was foolish to agree to see you today. I'm going straight home now. No, Oliver, there's no chance. We can't do anything until January. I'll see you at our New Year's party. And please don't even consider coming to my place. No, no, no. Yes, Oliver, I love you too. After calling Oliver, she rang Lena. "Hi, Lena. Unfortunately, I have to cancel my date with Oliver today. Some of Mick's friends have heard rumors about Oliver and will be keeping an eye on him tonight. Yes, he's even aware of it. He called me to say he'd be late. No, we'll have to postpone until January, maybe longer. Catch up with you later. Bye." What a deceitful woman. That was the final confirmation I needed. Until now, I had merely suspected Oliver and even punished him without concrete evidence. But now I had irrefutable proof. My next move would be to determine a definitive solution. An hour later, back at home, I asked Marianne, "You're already home. It's odd that you and Lena managed to do such quick shopping at the mall just before Christmas." She responded, "It would be better for us to go together on Saturday to look for Christmas gifts. Did you return early from your moral crusade? That cheating scumbag Oliver seems to have called off his date. Someone must have tipped him off. Did you do that to protect poor Rebecca from a scandal?" Her face went pale before she exclaimed, "Don't you dare think I'd be involved in your dirty schemes." Upon closer examination of the receipts in Mary Ann's ring binders, it became apparent that her misguided shopping sprees had occurred regularly since November of last year, with July being the sole exception due to our summer vacation. Mary Ann had deceived me at least 12 times, and it was now evident that their November encounter marked their one-year anniversary. This clarified Mary Ann's unusually provocative attire that day. From what I gathered, she hadn't dressed provocatively for the canceled December rendezvous. One canceled date didn't mitigate her actions. 12 instances of infidelity far exceeded what any reasonable husband could tolerate. My affection for Mary Ann vanished into thin air. The following day, I decided to teach the backup Lena a lesson. I sent a postcard to her husband's workplace, featuring a picture of the town's finest hotel, along with the message, "Your wife is deceiving you in this establishment." While it was a fabrication, such a message was sure to stir up some trouble in their marriage. Christmas passed without any arguments or intimacy between Mary Ann and me. However, I could tell she wasn't pleased because I had purchased cheaper gifts for her than usual. Finally, it was time for the New Year's party that Mary Ann and I were hosting. We put a lot of effort into sprucing up our home and cleared out some furniture to make space for dancing. I even constructed a makeshift bar for the occasion, stocked with imported liquor from Germany. As our guests arrived, I manned the bar and greeted them with customized drinks, tailored for both men and women. Rebecca and Oliver joined the festivities, receiving their drinks like everyone else. However, there was a subtle alteration to Oliver's drink, containing an additional ingredient that had caused me considerable trouble to procure. Much to my delight, everything aligned with my plans. As anticipated, Oliver had indulged in a few drinks prior to the party and didn't decline anything during the meal. The combination of alcohol, including the spiked drink, left him feeling rather tired. It was Mary Ann who suggested he take a brief rest in our spare bedroom, a notion even Rebecca endorsed. Rebecca and I helped him into the room and settled him onto the bed. Once I had the opportunity to slip into the spare bedroom, I discovered Oliver asleep on the bed. Despite not being fond of beer, I had consumed several and found myself in dire need of relieving my bladder. Therefore, it was quite a relief when I discreetly relieved myself onto Oliver as he slept, making it appear as if he had done so himself. Neither my entrance nor exit from the spare room had been observed by anyone. After some time, I inquired with Rebecca about Oliver's condition. Upon learning she hadn't been checking on him, we both went to the spare room. As soon as we opened the door, the smell of urine overwhelmed us, causing Rebecca to scream in dismay. Hurriedly, I returned to the guests and loudly informed Mary Ann, "That darn Oliver has wet himself in the bed." My announcement reached all the guests, prompting many to investigate Oliver's actions. It was clear that this scandal would haunt Oliver for a long time to come. Initially, Mary Ann insisted I take care of Oliver and escort him home. However, my firm response, "I won't touch that creep with a 10-foot pole," placated her. One of the guests, who was sober, took pity on him and drove Oliver, draped in an old blanket and accompanied by Rebecca and Mary Ann, to his house. The rest of us continued our party, finding amusement in a new source of laughter as Oliver wasn't particularly well liked among us men. To everyone's surprise, Rebecca returned to the party with Mary Ann. As the party carried on and we toasted the new year with champagne, all the couples except Mary Ann and I exchanged kisses. Feeling embarrassed, she asked me, "Why didn't you kiss me?" "Why should I?" I replied. "We're married, aren't we? That's not reason enough for me to kiss you." Others began to take interest and listen to our exchange. Mary Ann insisted, "If you love me, you should kiss me as the first thing you do in the new year." She was shocked and turned pale when I responded, "We have more important matters to attend to." Mary Ann hurried to the kitchen to prepare a nightcap, and those guests who overheard us stared at me, anticipating an explanation. However, I remained silent. Instead of addressing the guests, I sought out Lena and led her to a quiet corner. There I inquired, "Why did Mary Ann and you skip your usual monthly shopping evening in December?" Giving me a puzzled look, Lena responded, "Don't Ask me. Ask Marianne. She called to cancel. Acknowledging her response, I continued. Fair enough, but can you clarify whether you and Marianne ever actually went shopping during those evenings? The credit card records show no transactions on those days. All her shopping seems to be done just before these evenings. Why is that? Lena's anger flared and she retorted. Why are you interrogating me? If Marianne's shopping habits concern you so much, why not ask your own wife? Marianne always claimed that you both shopped together, yet it seems you're unaware of any such outings. I believe both Marianne and you owe an explanation. Lena's husband, now with us, questioned her. What were you really up to during those fake shopping trips? Did you sleep with someone at the Grand Hotel? Certainly. The postcard I sent to him stirred up some conflict in their marriage because Lena started crying and confessed. I never actually went anywhere with Marianne. I just pretended to cover for her. Whatever she did is her own business. Having had a few drinks, Lena's husband was in no mood for lies or excuses. He fixed his gaze on her and demanded, It's time you told me the truth. What did you and Marianne actually do during those evenings out? Realizing the charade was up, Lena responded, Marianne met her lover and I usually went shopping. Lena's husband displayed cunning, recognizing that if he pressured his wife to reveal Marianne's affair to me, Marianne might retaliate by exposing any affair Lena might have to her husband. So, he persistently questioned, Who is the man involved? Through tears, Lena replied, I don't know. Angered, her husband demanded, Don't lie. Who? Finally, Lena relented. Oliver Erickson. I feigned surprise, exclaiming, That despicable bedwetter, what appalling taste. Lena, avoiding Marianne and Rebecca, left the party with her husband. Meanwhile, I tended to the bar, and Marianne conveniently avoided me until we shared a nightcap, drinking in silence. After the final member of our group departed, it was time for the moment of truth that both of us had anticipated. Marianne took the initiative, asking, You didn't want to kiss me. May I inquire why? And since when? You must have known for quite some time, at least over the past year, that a confrontation would eventually arise. It pains me to say that tonight Lena confessed the truth about what I've suspected since I fell ill and witnessed how provocatively you dressed for your rendezvous with your paramour. Marianne paled and inquired, I didn't realize Lena was intoxicated enough to divulge any fantasies. What exactly did she reveal? I'm certain she told me the unvarnished truth. Your monthly shopping trips were a ruse to provide cover for your visits to your lover at a Q8 cabin. Marianne's concern escalated, yet she wasn't prepared to surrender. She inquired, Could you disclose the identity of this fictitious ghost lover? Yes, indeed. It was quite a repulsive revelation. Lena divulged that your lover is the bedwetting scoundrel Oliver Erickson, and her confession confirms my suspicions. Marianne erupted. That deceitful woman spilled the beans. Did she also mention her own affairs like Ralph Norman, the retired hockey player? She stormed off to the bedroom. I followed, yelling, Deceitful woman, vacate this room. You'll be sleeping in the guest room from now on. She protested, But the bed in there is wet. I retorted, Is it my fault that your lover wets the bed? That's your problem, not mine. Marianne refused to budge, but I forcibly removed her from the bedroom, set the alarm for 8, and retired to bed. Despite my pounding headache, I dragged myself out of bed to brew some strong coffee in the kitchen. That blasted Oliver wrecked my once-in-a-lifetime happy marriage, and he deserved his comeuppance. Dialing their landline, luck was on my side as Rebecca answered. I informed her that after she left the party, Marianne's friend Lena divulged that Marianne and her husband had been carrying on an affair for at least a year, a confession Marianne herself later corroborated. Next, I called Lena's husband and disclosed that Marianne erupted in anger when confronted about Lena's revelation regarding her affair with Oliver, launching accusations about Lena's involvement with an ex-hockey player named Ralph Norman. Admittedly, it was somewhat unjust to involve Lena in this. but she actively participated in the destruction of my own marriage. Subsequently, I learned that after Lena confessed her infidelity to her husband, he took swift action against Ralph Norman, delivering a severe beating in his own home witnessed by his wife and children. Upon entering the kitchen, Marianne grasped that her marriage, as well as her affair with Oliver, was likely a thing of the past. I confronted her. Was the intimacy at home truly so lacking that you sought extramarital relations? Do you hold such affection for that wretched Oliver Erickson that satisfying him once a month outweighed your commitment to our marriage? Marianne wept. I don't love him. It was merely an added thrill that enhanced my love for you. You are my true love, and always will be. Not him. With him, it was purely physical. If Rebecca is astute enough to leave that deceitful scoundrel, consider it a victory. I deeply regret my foolish mistake and implore you to forgive me. My love for you has never wavered. You and only you are my true love. He was just a passing excitement, not genuine affection. Please forgive me and let us continue with our family and children, please. Curious, I inquired, how long has this bonus affair been ongoing? I only saw him 3 times, and we didn't engage in intimacy during our first encounter. We only had 2 intimate meetings because you canceled our December date. What a deceitful woman. I told her you took my bait and skipped your supposed shopping trip when I called you about Oliver, because you had already done the shopping days in advance. You could have possibly salvaged our marriage if you had even skipped your November rendezvous when your new seductive lingerie made me suspicious. Offering you a brandy was a simple ploy. I assumed you and that jerk were commemorating some anniversary more significant to you than saving our marriage. I've scrutinized your credit card statements for Lena's and your monthly shopping over the past year. The only purchase during those supposed shopping outings is gas at the Q8 station out of town. So your 2 alleged shopping trips are clearly a lie, aren't they? I reiterated, I'm completely certain that you were intimate with him at least 12 times from November to November. 1 instance of infidelity is already too much, so the exact count doesn't matter to me. However, it would be intriguing to understand when, how, and why your betrayal started. Marianne fell silent, tears streaming down her face before she fled to the spare bedroom. She had confessed her infidelity without my needing to mention the recordings of her phone calls or the pictures Oliver had sent her. It suited her better to believe that I had gathered most of my information from Lena at our party. Both Rebecca and Lena called Marianne on New Year's Day, and it wasn't hard to surmise that those conversations ended the long-standing friendship between Marianne and 2 of her closest friends. Even though I made my humiliation by a bedwetting jerk public, it left me with only one option to avoid further embarrassment, and I didn't hesitate to file for divorce on the first working day after the new year. Marianne never disclosed the true reason for her infidelity, or when it began. A year later. The year following Marianne's and my New Year's party turned out to be quite tough for me. Despite Marianne's efforts to salvage our marriage, we finalized our divorce in July. She remained tight-lipped about her affair with Oliver, leaving much of it shrouded in mystery for me. Unexpectedly, Marianne and Oliver's infidelity sparked a sort of divorce wave, leading to 4 separations: Marianne and me, Rebecca and Oliver, Lena and her husband, and Ralph Norman and his trophy wife. Rebecca swiftly removed Oliver from their home and wasted no time before embarking on a relationship with her boss, whom she married in August. Rumors circulated that Oliver suspected something was amiss long before their divorce proceedings began, using it as justification for his affair with Marianne, though he never found concrete evidence to support his claims. After learning that canceling our divorce was out of the question, Marianne came to terms with it. With help from relatives and friends, I bought her share of our house. Using her portion, she purchased an apartment where she and Oliver moved in together. However, their relationship quickly soured, leading to a breakup within a month. Following a heated argument, Oliver departed, and his reputation as a bedwetter even drove him to leave town. Marianne and I now have joint custody of our children, who primarily reside with me but spend some time at her place. Despite rumors that Mom isn't seeing anyone, I'm indifferent. Just as I didn't concern myself with Lena, her husband, her lover Ralph, or his wife. I didn't date anyone until Christmas rolled around. To my relief, I discovered there were plenty of single women who were open to spending a night with someone like me when I ventured into single bars seeking companionship. Despite missing Marianne terribly, I couldn't bring myself to take her back after her betrayal. It was a close friend who convinced me to leave all the mess behind and join him for Christmas and New Year in Thailand, along with his cousin who had an extra charter tour ticket available after breaking up with his girlfriend. Since Marianne and I had already agreed that our children would spend the holidays with her this year, I had no reason to stay home and decided to purchase his spare ticket. My cousin was a cheerful person, and fortunately on the second morning at the hotel, we found ourselves at the same table with two divorced sisters from Belgium. It was the highlight of my year, as we ended up spending the rest of our time in Thailand with these two Belgians. Despite the fact that my companion was 12 years older than me, Monique was an attractive woman with a slender figure. I was satisfied with her. When I returned home, I felt satisfied. I missed meeting Monique more than I ever wanted to be intimate with Marianne. However, I was faced with the dilemma of finding a suitable job in the French-speaking region of Belgium, where Monique ran an accounting business, while in my country she could not repeat her profession. Therefore, my only option was to anticipate and plan occasional weekend visits to her in Belgium. However, those visits to Monique will likely be permanently canceled because upon my return from Thailand, a new neighbor had moved into the house next to mine. She is a recently divorced, very attractive female lawyer, a few years younger than me, with a daughter named Johanna, the same age as my own daughter. Surprisingly, the girls quickly became friends, so for practical reasons, I invited Johanna's mother, Madeline, for coffee. Madeline was a relaxed, attractive woman, and I offered to assist her with various household tasks, which led to enjoyable coffee breaks after each task. I couldn't help but think about her a lot, but I decided to proceed cautiously and only take small steps to determine if she genuinely cares about me or simply sees me as a handyman. Soon enough, it became evident that she fabricated some of her problems just to have coffee with me. Madeline must have been quite the sophisticated wife for her ex-husband, and it's unlikely she would stay single for long after their divorce. The reality is, shy guys rarely end up with beautiful girls. That's why, one Friday, I called her at work and invited her out to dinner that evening. She politely declined, saying, "No thanks for today," but suggested we could go out another time. Instead, she proposed that we share takeout from a new Greek restaurant at her place with our children, indicating she wasn't in the mood for a traditional date. I agreed. Surprisingly, the dinner went smoothly, almost like a real family gathering, and it marked a significant step forward for me in building a closer relationship with my attractive neighbor. After dinner, when our teenagers had left, Madeline and I uncorked a bottle of wine, settled onto the sofa, and delved into discussions about our divorces and aspirations for the future. Madeline had parted ways with her ex after the second instance of abuse, as she had witnessed too much havoc caused by abusive men in her workplace. She fixed her gaze on me and posed a direct question about whether I had ever been violent towards my ex. I truthfully disclosed that I had never laid a hand on any woman, not even Marianne, despite her infidelity. However, I confided in Madeline about the consequences my ex faced for her cheating, resulting in 4 divorces, the loss of her home, husband, lover, and 2 close friends, as well as earning her a reputation as promiscuous, which attracted unwanted attention from men. Then Madeline inquired about my holiday trip to Thailand, and whether I had engaged in any regrettable activities there that should have been avoided. Though I understood her implication, I feigned ignorance and replied, "Apologies, I didn't quite catch your question. Could you clarify?" It was evident that my response struck a chord with her as she retorted, "Don't act clueless. I want to know if you paid prostitutes for intimate services during your stay in Thailand, because the man who invited me to dinner wants to know why it is important for me to find out." "No, I didn't," I affirmed, "but I won't deny that I spent time with a divorced Belgian woman there. She had left her ex due to infidelity, and she was unattached." Please bear in mind this occurred when I was single and not involved with anyone back home. Madeline persisted. Do you have intentions of seeing that Belgian woman again? I answered truthfully. Yes, we discussed it, but only if both of us remain unattached. She flashed me a bright smile and inquired, Are you currently seeing anyone? I responded with my warmest smile. I can't say for certain, but I'm putting in my best effort to capture the interest of a charming lady for a date. As long as there's a glimmer of hope, I'm not entertaining the idea of seeing anyone else. Why is this date with me so significant to you? You can't expect a magical night after just one date. Because it could either mark the start of a beautiful dream or the end of it. She became quite serious as she replied, I'd wager on the start, but there's still a journey ahead. After a brief pause, she continued, While my divorce has been a dreadful experience thus far, I still harbor a dream of finding companionship and love with a man who genuinely cares for me. He must possess honesty and loyalty, and he must earn acceptance from Johanna. In return, I vow to always remain honest and faithful to him. To my surprise, various men seem to believe that the only desire of a divorced woman is for physical intimacy, which has resulted in numerous invitations for dates, including some from married men. Thus far, I've politely declined all offers, except for two. The first encounter was a complete disaster, and you, Mike, are the second person who has piqued my interest. However, both of us must acknowledge that we need to get to know each other much better before making any decisions about the future. Yet, I cannot ignore the fact that one of your strong points is that Johanna approves of you, and I have a great fondness for Julia and Melvin as well. So, shall we agree to maintain honesty and faithfulness at this level for now and make an effort for all five of us to become better acquainted before committing to anything more significant? I consented without resistance. Sacrificing a fantastic weekend of intimacy in Belgium seemed like a small sacrifice for the opportunity to establish a meaningful relationship with Madeline, even if physical intimacy would have to wait until we were more acquainted, and even if it couldn't compare to what I had with Monique. I've seen others merge broken families into one happy unit, so surely Madeline and I could do the same if we both truly desired it.